Well, the first Johnson & Johnson vaccine shots have been administered in South Africa, as you saw. To speak to us about the effectiveness of this vaccine, I'm joined by virology expert, Professor Barry Schoub. He's also chairperson of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19. Thank you for your time, Prof. We appreciate it. So this, of course, is a moment that we will remember as we start this different fight against the coronavirus. Let's start with what we should know about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and why you believed it was so important to get it to South Africa and why it's the right vaccine for us.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, it is an ideal vaccine for many respects. First of all, its efficacy. We look at the efficacy and look at safety. Those are the two, I guess, fundamental criteria by which we judge a vaccine. So its efficacy, and particularly its efficacy against our 501YV2 variant, our particular variant. And there it has been shown to have a very high efficacy, and particularly against severe disease due to the variant. About 85% in the trial which was done in the country. And against mild and moderate disease, low-level disease, about 57%, which is very acceptable. So certainly the efficacy against our variant, and the question really was our variant which is dominant in the country, that is a very important criteria. It's been shown to be a very, very safe vaccine. In fact, there's been no reports of severe allergy, which has been reported with one or two other vaccines, rare, but has been reported. Nothing at all with Johnson & Johnson. And the only side effects are just a minor tenderness in the arm maybe and a feeling out of sorts maybe for 1 or 2 days, but very, very minor. No serious side effects reported at all. And then it's an easy vaccine to store. It can be stored like any other vaccine in the ordinary fridge, at an ordinary fridge temperature, where it remains stable for at least 3 months and probably for more. And a very, very big advantage of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is that its efficacy, or its effectiveness, is really with one dose. And that makes a very, very big difference, particularly in our country, where often it's very difficult to get people back for a second dose. So one dose maintains that immunity. So if you look at all these four factors, it really is these boxes really tick for Johnson & Johnson. There's no other vaccine which really has got all four boxes ticked.
Yeah. So let's talk a bit more, though, about other countries not really yet using this vaccine. We're the first in the world. I'm seeing reports that say that the 500,000 doses that we are getting were supposed to be used for clinical trials across the world. What does that mean?
It doesn't really mean very much. It was a way of which we could access the vaccine very quickly. Johnson & Johnson had filed for registration quite a while back. So they had been under the microscope for a while. So it's not that it actually has come and been immediately licensed. They had filed for licensing quite a while back. With regard to these doses which are coming now, there are trial doses, true, but they're exactly the same. They're absolutely identical to the vials which will be purchased. So it is just a way of getting the vaccine expeditiously, quickly now.
Yeah. Do you know how much we paid for it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I think these were donated.
Yeah.
We have purchased and we will be purchasing 9 million doses of Johnson & Johnson, which will come a bit later.
So talk to me about...
I'm not sure if we paid for transport and those things, but as far as I know, not for the vaccine itself.
Yeah, and Johnson & Johnson, of course, using a local pharmaceutical company to manufacture these vaccines as well. How does that work to our advantage when it comes to securing more doses?
Yeah, you see, the local company, which is not manufacturing, they're actually filling and distributing, in the Eastern Cape, they are under contract to the company to supply the company, not to supply South Africa. So we will need to have a negotiation process with the parent company to see if some of those doses processed locally can be used locally.
Yeah. So, Prof, I know that you can't really speak much on the rollout of this vaccine, but given that you're on the Advisory Council, I'm hoping you can elaborate on which particular healthcare worker will be vaccinated first.
Well, the the program will really look at those healthcare workers who are what we call frontline healthcare workers, those who are directly exposed to COVID patients, either in the wards or in the intensive care units or in the clinics and so on. And then after that, those healthcare workers who are exposed to patients, because often, of course, you don't know where a particular patient who might not be recognized as a COVID patient, but might still be carrying COVID. And these healthcare workers, of course, are in direct contact with them. So those will be the kind of top tier of the healthcare workers. Of course, healthcare workers, not just doctors and nurses. It goes all the way down to porters, to cleaners. Those are all healthcare workers, all people that come into contact with COVID.
Yeah. And just in terms of the future rollout, we heard Professor Glenda Gray say that we're getting 80,000 doses of this vaccine every 7 to 14 days up until we reach that 500,000 mark. I mean, what happens after that? Will we be getting more vaccines during this period outside of Johnson & Johnson?
Yes, there is an order which is coming in from Pfizer. You know, Pfizer is the one which is being rolled out in Europe and in the United States and so on. And then I think it's 20 million doses, which will be coming, I think, by the end of next month, so fairly soon.
Oh, 20 million doses by the end of next month?
Well, I don't know if all 20 million will be coming in next month, but I think starting from by the end of next month, and then probably over the period of a couple of months till about, I guess, about the middle of the year. But you must remember it's taking time to actually roll out the vaccine program. So the minister has assured us that there is going to be vaccine enough to carry on the vaccine program. Yeah. So it doesn't, doesn't all have to come all at once.
Yeah. No, I get you. I got excited for a moment, but thank you so much for your time and your insight.
No, sure.
Virology expert Professor Barry Schoub. He's the chairperson, of course, as well, of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19.